Hello and welcome back to Shak's Talks. I'm Shakti, and on this channel I'm exploring anomalous phenomena of all kinds. I'm sucking on a cough drop today because I have a little bit of a cold that I'm getting over. So I might pause more than usual to sort of calm my throat. I've tried to record this about 3 times now and had a horrible coughing attack. So I hope I can get through it. I really want to share some interesting things with you today. This season is the psychic season, so right now I'm looking at especially out-of-body experiences and all of the studies that have been done around out-of-body experiences. And I'm currently reading this book, Demystifying the Out-of-Body Experience by Luis Minero. I am about 2/3 of the way done now, and this book is getting more and more interesting all the way. And I'm also currently reading Beyond My Wildest Dreams, Diary of a UFO Abductee. This is by Carlsberg. And I wanted to talk about dreams, meditation, and out-of-body experiences today. So I wanted to start by reading you a section of this book, What Dreams Are Made Of. A critical point I want to make to the reader is that I have chosen the term dreams, shown in quotes, to describe some of my alien encounters, even though I am fully aware of the solid reality of my experiences. It should be understood the term dream is not meant to be taken literally. The nature of abduction, the intentions of the aliens, and the psychological makeup and belief systems of individuals all determine where contact falls within the human psyche, such as real experiences, hallucinations, and dreams. In my particular case, as in most cases, the aliens control the abductee's consciousness to suppress the memories of the encounters. They use drugs, post-hypnotic suggestions, and a variety of other mind-altering techniques. There is also the natural protection of our own mind to dismiss that which it cannot contextualize appropriately. Many frightening close encounters are cloaked and stored in what psychologists term screen memories. The mind, when confronted with an event too threatening and beyond comprehension, will literally disguise the occurrence with a false memory that is more acceptable and less intimidating to the personality. Common screen memories of gray aliens are owls, cats, deer, or other animals with large or slanted eyes. I thoroughly realize how far-fetching the next statement sounds, and I risk putting off readers before they get started. But I believe it is essential to understanding our relationship with alien visitors. It is my personal conclusion they are not only extraterrestrial, but they are extra-dimensional in origin. This does not mean they are not real. It means they emerge into our density and solidify. Many times the abductee is physically taken back to the alien reality. Their realm is not natural to the structure of the human psyche or ego. Therefore, the ego's ability to comprehend the experience is minimized. If these events are remembered at all, they usually maintain a dreamlike quality. Again, this is why I am using the term dream to describe actual extraterrestrial encounters. Okay. I'm going to eat another cough drop and try to keep going. So, there's a lot there already. And when we think about the theories of reality that we've discussed on this channel and the potential for human consciousness to experience non-physical realities, I think it's pretty easy for all of us here to grasp the possibility of encountering non-physical entities in a non-physical reality through consciousness. The thing that gets very confusing for me and feels like the biggest mystery is this crossover section where non-physical entities are able to materialize in our physical reality, or are able to take us to their reality, a reality in which we feel things and come back into our own density with sometimes physical markings or evidence of these experiences. So it's this kind of cross section that I'm really interested in. And so in order to get more clarity on all of this and to continue to be able to interpret the data that I am collecting when it comes to other people's experiences, and to be able to look at these contact and abductee accounts and analyze them in a way that would shine light on the big picture of this whole phenomena, I am seeking my own I am seeking to develop my own ability to travel out of body. And so right now I'm using Luis Minero's book and techniques and committing myself to a regular meditation practice with a lot of discipline, open-mindedness, and consistency. I'm about 13 or maybe 15 sessions in. And each time I do a session, I am writing a detailed account of my experience. So the area that I'm looking into right now is Luis's suggestion of increasing the quality of your Holothosene in order to attract non-physical guides and helpers that are either at or above your own level of consciousness maturity. So in order to dive into this a little more, I'm going to go back to the definition of a Holothosene. A Holothosene is the collection of thosenes, or of energetic information associated with something specific. And a thosene is the unit of manifestation of the consciousness. We talked about this last time. So a Holothosene is, in my mind, it's kind of like the aura or the energy bubble that surrounds an individual. It can be observed by some in physical matter reality, like for example, people that read auras might be picking up on a Holothosene. But according to Minero, it's really easy to see when you're out of the physical realm. And he describes it like, it's so obvious, it's like the color of someone's hair. When we're in a crowd of people, you can glance across the room and you can accurately say if that person has light or dark hair, for example. When you're in a non-physical realm, observing a Holothosene, you can tell right away what the quality of it is. So, for example, if a person is really angry, bitter, victim mentality, jealous, selfish, certain qualities that are maybe considered less mature by this standard, that Holothosene would have a certain quality to it that would be completely observable to everyone else in the non-physical. If a person was genuinely loving, caring, serviceful, compassionate, they have their own sense of ethics, morality, decency, they were thinking spiritual thoughts, or even just beautiful, elevated thoughts that are clean and pure in a certain sense, because they're not about harming or criticizing anyone else. That Holothosene would have a very obvious appearance and would attract similar energies. So I'm going to read a page from Minero's book. This is page 215. We have heard how some individuals are scared to leave the body because of encounters with certain extra-physical consciousnesses. In some cases, projectors talk about an extra-physical consciousness that sometimes is there to stop them from leaving the body, i.e. the gatekeeper, hitchhiker. Also, sometimes there are stories of projectors who mention that they had to fight with an extra-physical consciousness outside the body. Thus, it is important to mention that if our energy is stable and positive, we will not have any type of experience of this nature. The reason that certain projectors have these types of experiences is because they still resonate with such activities. More balanced people do not have to worry about this. Thus, let us pose some questions that can help us to understand this. Does my Holothosene have any content of violence in it? Have I associated myself with a group that is defending a narrower interest, dogmatic or mystic? Have I associated with energy from a group that is against another specific group? This also helps to explain why, when individuals produce an OBE through drugs, their experiences tend to be strange and distorted. We can analyze this a bit further. What in general is the Holothosene of the entire drug environment? What type of extra-physical consciousnesses are they evoking with such an activity? Again, it is important to stress that well-intentioned, normal projectors do not have to worry about having negative experiences while projected. Many individuals have had years and decades of OBEs, even projecting to evolved dimensions, without encountering any type of confrontation. Similarly, for projectors who sometimes have had less than pleasant encounters, once they become aware of why this was happening and they renewed or recycled their Holothosene, they stopped having such experiences. Trying to calm my throat. So, growing up with the yoga community that I was in, there was always an emphasis on being serviceful. Our whole life purpose was supposed to be about serving and loving others. And there was an emphasis on clean living. So no drugs, no alcohol, no meat, no smoking. And naturally, being the rebellious soul that I am, I had to eventually do everything that I wasn't supposed to do. And I learned a lot. And basically, I needed to know for myself if what I was being taught was true. And I think that what I learned is that to some extent it is, but it's nuanced. So when it comes to drugs, the example that was just given, it's pretty easy to understand that a drug environment is its own Holothosene, and that is comprised of where the drug came from, how it was created, was it grown, was it made in a lab, who made it, what energy went into that, how many hands did it pass through to get to the person who was going to sell it, to the person who was going to consume it. What kind of energy was going on during all of those transactions? Was there violence involved? Was there harm to others along that chain of events? And then when it gets to the person who's going to consume it, they're most likely in a group of people that is like-minded, unless they're completely isolated in their drug experience, which does occur. But a lot of times there's a whole community of people who are often struggling in some way, shape, or form and seeking relief. But in that setting, there's a lot of chaos. There's often a lot of violence, and there's often a lot of dark occult energy that creeps into the Holothosene. Now, this isn't the case with every substance or with every community that likes to partake in substances, of course. No judgment, and like I said, I've done it all. But generally speaking, in my own experience, I do think that certain substances can open the door to non-physical intrusions that are of a lower holothosenic quality. So to each their own, but you have to learn from experience, and you also have to make your own choices when it comes to your spiritual safety. And of course, there are medicinal practices that are sacred and holy that involve substances. And as that cultural knowledge has become more mainstream, I think it's helping people to create new ways of interacting with substances, even if it's this trickle-down effect where someone may or may not be a part of a spiritual community that has carried on this ancient practice, but they might understand that that's a thing that happens, and then it changes the way they themselves interact with substances in their own life. So it's a whole spectrum, but it's definitely something to pay attention to if you're in a community where you're partaking in mind-altering substances, to just know that that is one way that the door can be opened for negative intrusions. And like Minero said at the end of that passage, if you find that you're being plagued by such things, you can recycle or renew your Holothosene. So just like I'm sick right now, my immune system was in a vulnerable place. I came into contact with someone else that was sick. I went to bed with a wet head because it rained on me and I was hot and I didn't want to dry off or take a shower, so I just went to sleep with a wet head. And a couple other factors that enabled this sickness to grab a hold and take over. And it's going to run its course and I'll be okay. And hopefully next time I'll think a little bit more about all of the factors that go into my well-being, because it's a huge drag to be sick and have to go through that whole process. And the same can be said for energy. The energy can get invaded, and then that experience has to run its course. And it can be really, really hard. But you can always refresh yourself and come back stronger, more knowledgeable. And then you can work to create a stronger energetic immune system for the future. So right now, in my own practice, I'm taking Luis Minero's advice and applying it, and I'm working towards uplifting my Holothosene to be more assistential is the word that he uses, and it's like assistance, more assistance oriented. And I think of it as like more serviceful or more loving or more caring, more compassionate. Basically, I spend a lot of time thinking about myself. I was going to say, don't we all, but I don't know what we all do. I have no idea what y'all do. But I think about myself a lot, and I think that's reasonable to some extent. But in order to attract the vibrational frequencies that I'm hoping to encounter in the non-physical of a consciousness maturity that is at my level or above, hopefully above, so that I can learn and grow, I have to create a holothosene that is like a beacon that they see and are attracted to and come to. And so I have to start thinking more about others, and I have to think about how can I be of service to others? Where in my life am I already being helpful or good, and how can I increase that, or where are the opportunities where I can be better? And this is an experiment, so I'm going to try it and see what happens. And like I said, growing up, there was always a huge emphasis on being serviceful. And now I know what the yogis were talking about. It was the same thing. They want you to create this serviceful energy because not only is it beneficial to everyone, but that's what's going to push you forward on your path. And Tom Campbell, Bob Monroe, Luis Minero, and many others who have studied out-of-body experiences, they all report these jobs that they get in a way. Once you start going non-physical, you're given different tasks and you're given opportunities to help others. And that's a big part of the learning that happens once you start going out of body. So in order to be considered for one of those opportunities, you have to actually evolve the quality of your being, which is like not an easy thing to do because you can't fake it. Just like how that Holothosene can be seen from a million miles away in the non-physical, the purity of our intentions and the quality of our consciousness can be perceived and known. And it's okay if we're not perfect. It's okay if we're trying to be something that we're not and we're on our way there, but we can't fool anyone. We can't actually be something we're not. We have to find the way to become it. So I've been journaling and making these lists of where I could become better in my life. And I've also been dedicating a portion of my meditation practice to service to others. So when I go into meditation, a lot of times I'm doing energy work on myself, on my house, on my dog, on my job, on the community that I'm in. And I'm just spreading that out more and more. Who else can I send positive energy to? And not in an interfering kind of way. I always give the little caveat. It's almost like sending a package and they can open it if they want to. So energetically, I'm going to send the package of love and positive energy. And then it's in alignment with my highest good, the good of all. So whatever's meant to be, they either get it or they don't. That's out of my hands and it's none of my business. But I'm putting the offering forward, putting the offering out there. Because you don't want to force healing or love on anyone either. So, sorry, this is such a slow talking episode. I'll see if it's even worth posting. But this morning, I woke up from a very emotional dream. And in that dream, I was confronted with some childhood wounds. And I woke up all in my feelings, as you do after a dream like this. And I was texting with my really good friends, processing, and describing my path forward, how I was going to deal with the energy from this dream. And then I decided to lay down and do my out-of-body practice. And I knew that during that practice, I wanted to do some specific energy work on versions of myself from the past that were in distress. And I laid down with the blindfold and the headphones, listening to the binaural beats, beat number 14 from Tom Campbell's Binaural Beats. And I started with Bob Monroe's energy repository box exercise, where you kind of put all anything that's going to get in the way of the practice, you put it in this box and you close the heavy lid, and then you go off into your experience. And I incorporated a Luis Minero technique about this kind of energetic breathing, where I kind of saw myself in the heart of the rainforest for some reason. I didn't really think of it, but that's where my energy wanted to go. And I was just feeling the lusciousness, that density of like Mother Nature, maximal, lush nature energy. And I was breathing that in. And then as an offering, I was exhaling out the essence of my life experience, all that I have to offer, whatever I have to offer, back to nature. And so I was doing that breathing exercise for a while. And then I decided I was going to do this vibrational technique that's supposed to kind of get you toward the launch point to go out of body, where you run the energy up and down your body and you increase the frequency and the speed of that movement up and down until you're in this vibrational state, and that's kind of the launch pad for getting out. But as I was increasing the vibrations, I realized, oh yeah, out of body is when your consciousness is going outward, but meditation is when your consciousness is going inward. And right now, I actually just need to meditate. So I kind of let go of that desire to go out, and I snapped right in. And it was so easy because meditation is something I've been doing since I was a kid. So going within, that I can do. And I was right there, deep inside of myself, in my own timeline, my own experience of the past. And I started off at my birth, at my newborn baby phase of life. And I just saw my little perfect baby body, and I saw my parents and how much they loved me. And I sent gratitude and just felt that love and tried to radiate it back to them. And I went through the moments that the dream had triggered, all these moments throughout my life where something traumatic had occurred, emotionally, physically, just different things. And they were all related to a certain specific neuroses that has taken shape throughout my whole existence. And I went back to those places in time, and I talked to myself, and I just told myself, I love you, you're okay, you're going to survive this, don't worry. This doesn't make you any less, this doesn't make you bad. In the future, things are going to be different. Right now you might feel like someone is making fun of you, but wait till you grow up. This same thing that's like dorky now is totally in style now, or like just comforting my little self throughout the years, and helping myself to feel not alone, which is just a nice visualization that anyone can do, and I highly recommend it. It's very healing, very soothing. And when I got back up to my place in time where I'm currently existing, my whole consciousness dropped back into my physical body, and I started to feel my whole pain body. And it was so intense. It was actually scary to me because I was feeling all of the pain of this life, all of the pain of all of my lives, and all of the genetic trauma that my lineage carries. Like we all have all this pain. And there's no comparing pain. So let's not even ever worry about that. We all have trauma. We all have suffering. We all have these pain bodies. And I immediately knew I needed help. I needed a guide. I needed assistance. So I kind of reached out to any guides, any helpers, what do I do? I'm really scared. Is it healthy for me to be in this place? Should I stop this? And they just said, no, stay. And I started feeling panic, and I felt tears come to my physical eyes, and I could feel the echoes of screams and shudders and big sobbing fits and all of the heartbreak and heartache and emotional trauma. And it was all right there in one substance, and I was completely immersed in that substance. And I just felt like, what am I supposed to do with this? How is this good for me? There's nothing I can do about this. And I was freaking out again, and I kept getting the guidance, just stay and breathe. So I breathed, and it was very uncomfortable, and I really felt lost, I didn't know what was going to happen next or what I was going to do. And all of a sudden it just stopped, and I felt myself lifting up above it. And then, as if this program was taking over, because I wasn't guiding this with my own mental conscious awareness, this was just happening. I got this vision. Now you're in your strength body, and now you're feeling the strength of this life, your own inner strength, and the strength of all of your lives, and the strength of all of your ancestors. And it was this warm, full, grounded, powerful strength body, which obviously felt way better than the pain body. And then I felt them merge. So the pain body and the strength body kind of overlaid, and I was in the frequency of both of them simultaneously. And it was just almost like they canceled each other out. And then I heard it called in my mind, the peace body. And it was like, you're now in your peace body. And I just stayed in that, and that felt so good. And I realized this is what they mean when they talk about holding opposites. This is what they mean about carrying your pain and your joy. And this is the beauty and the power of everyone I know. We're all doing this at some point or another. We are carrying the most devastating trauma, and at the same time, the most incredible strength. And once I felt that peace, I kind of just eased back into my physical experience, and I was back in my physical body. And I came out of the meditation, and I knew I really wanted to make an episode and talk about it, because although this isn't a remote viewing session and it's not an out-of-body travel experience per se, this is the power of dreams, dream work, and meditation, and how they all kind of come together. And it's fun to think about solving these great mysteries and understanding what's really going on with all of these strange encounters. And it's really fun to think about getting out of the physical reality and having experiences in the non-physical, and maybe even being given a task or a job at some point. And it's really fun and exciting to think about a future where maybe I'm so experienced that I'm able to write down all of these things that I've learned and write my own book, or be a teacher in my own right when it comes to this stuff. But right now, I'm just a student trying to learn, and sometimes I just feel so small and powerless. But when it comes to meditation and what's possible there, it's almost like it's so beautiful and powerful that everything else kind of just falls away, and it almost doesn't even matter. So I just wanted to share that as a reminder to anyone who's interested in any of this, that you have an imagination and you can do a visualization and you can access these beautiful experiences for yourself, and you can tap into deep, deep soul healing all by yourself. And it's just a really cool part of being a human and being alive. So I wanted to share a personal experience today, and I'm sorry that I have this cold and I have to talk so slow today, but next time I will be back with more information and more of an analysis of Beyond My Wildest Dreams. And I will have completed Luis Minero's book, and I was supposed to go to one of his workshops online this weekend, but it got postponed till next weekend. So I'll be able to tell you about that as well, maybe in the next episode or the one after that. I'm really grateful to all of you for listening and for being here, and I'll see you next time on Shocks Talks.